crappie jig out of Grizzly Rooster saddle. What's going on, guys? Adam here. Welcome to another episode of SDG. Today brought to you in part by Do It Molds. If you are new to the channel, I'm glad you found me. Here on SDG, I do my best to bring you at least 2 videos a week focused on Lurecraft, jig tying, tips and tricks in the shop. So if you like what you see, check out the rest of the channel, consider subscribing, and be sure to click that notification bell so you're sure not to miss anything. All right, here we go. So this is number 2 this week, focused on a couple of crappie jigs for my new buddies, Parker and Landon. So the last video we tied up a nymph, a pheasant tail nymph, but crappie style. Today we're going to do a minnow pattern using this beautiful Grizzly Rooster saddle. Really awesome stuff, different widths, different lengths on this. It's about a half saddle, so for those other jig tires out there, if you don't have some rooster saddle, especially this Grizzly pattern, this variegated barred pattern, lots of different colors. They do it in olive and all the other ones as well. This is natural. It's just awesome, beautiful, lots you can do with it. So today's going to be pretty simple, but I think it looks pretty dynamite. So without further ado, let's jump into the tie. All right, in the vise, as before, we've got a 1/16 ounce Freestyle jig head, tying with mono thread today. Getting used to this mono thread more and more. I really like it for these small pattern crappie jigs because it's clear, and as we use these natural materials, and oftentimes you just can't get it up by the head as close as you want. There's always a little bit of leftover. The mono makes it nice because you don't see a lot of thread. All right, so let's grab some tail material. I've already got it cut here. This is 2 of those saddle hackle pieces. I've already cut them to a little longer than the jig hook, like my tails, just a little bit longer. I've preened it back, exposed the stem on the back end. So let's get those on. Spin my thread. Get those right on top. 2 loose wraps. Make sure they're right where I want them to be. Pinch and secure. Just like that. Bring it forward, bring it back, 2 or 3, locks it in place. There we go. So our tails are in. So from there we need to build a body. And what we're going to use for a body this time is Senyo's laser dub. This is in silver minnow belly. So interesting stuff. It's kind of light and cottony. It's got some dubbing throughout it. You can see kind of the light grabbing some of it. So makes for a good body, makes for a lot of different uses. Before we do that though, I just remembered, before we do that, we need to tie in our other feather for the end process. So I've got a nice big feather. You can see all the marabou still attached. We still want to find that spot, just like before when we did the pheasant jig last time. We want to test this and look for that place where the stem gets stiff. Just so happens on this one, I think I'm going to be okay to separate it right where that marabou is. So we're going to bring the thread, or bring the feather right in. Right here's the stem. So bring that feather right in. Right to left, and then bring it behind. So there's your figure 8, and then 2 wraps in the front to secure it down. All right, go ahead and put a little securing whip finish right there. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And that'll hang out while we build our body with the aforementioned laser dub. So, dubbing loop, a little bit longer than the bobbin. Spin it, bring that all the way to the front, hanging off the edge. Get our tool, there it is. Put some wax on there. There we go. So again, we want to bring it out pretty sparse, right? Pretty sparse. Lay it in there, spread it out so it's not clumpy. All right, so there she is so far. I like to have a little extra. You can always cut it off. Pinch at the bottom, spin. Make sure it's away from the feathers, let it go. That'll trap it. Now we can spin it up. Make sure that's where you want it. Pull out some extra if you have any clumps that you don't like to see. Some of those clumps will go away as you spin it, but if you see anything really bad, you can go ahead and pull it out. Spin that up. There we go. So let's go ahead and get this body on. As before, we want it right. We don't want any gap between the feather and the body. So that first couple of wraps, just make sure it's good and secure, and it's not pushing the feathers to a place where you don't want them, but you don't have a gap there either. All right, there we go. Once you're past the hook point, you can get a lot easier. And all the way up. You can build a little bit of a taper here, kind of double up if you've got the extra. There we go, double up all the way to the head. There we are. Trap it over, bring it in front, a couple of turns. Make sure as you cut the excess out, you don't cut your thread. I've done that more times than I care to admit. Okay. Bring it back over. So now we're going to palmer. We're going to palmer this hackle through it. And kind of follow it the same way. So grab it. You could do it with your hands if you want. Sometimes easier with the hackle pliers. So we're going to follow what we just did. Start moving our way. Force that feather to do what you want. It'll get in line. There we go. There we go. All the way to the head. And I like to give it some extra action at the head as well. There we go. Same thing, behind to trap it, in front, one or two. And with this one, we are going to cut out the tip. Try not to cut anything else. There we go. So we can preen these back now. Build up a little collar here just to make sure that everything's in place. And now whip finish. Make sure as you do if you're doing it by hand, make sure that you take into consideration that eye. Sometimes that eye can give you, the hook eye can give you a little bit of trouble. There we go. Down. There we go. And again, because it's mono, you don't even see the threads. Really like that. I do like to give it just a little bit of head cement. And because we use this Loon, thanks to Mr. Smalljaw's recommendation, we don't have to worry about it fouling up the feathers. You get a little extra on the feathers, no big deal. Water-based, doesn't hurt them one bit. So there she is. Pretty cool little variegated minnow pattern. There you go. Little tails, that palmered hackle all the way through. So I'll put this one in the test tank as well, show you guys how it swims, as well as get you some close-up shots so you can see the final results. Well, there you go. What do you guys think? Simple, but pretty darn cool looking, I gotta say. So, Landon, Parker, these two are yours. I hope you guys catch some absolute giants on them. Next time I see you out at the lake, I'll have them in the truck for you, so come and grab me. I'll get them to you. For everybody else, if you enjoyed today's episode, you want to see some more just like it, then click on this video right here. If you're curious why we call the channel what we call it, then click on this video right here. Otherwise, until the next time, I'll see you guys at the Vine.